Good afternoon. I think it's the afternoon now. You've already made the most epic choice of choosing to be in this room. I am Nishma Patel Rob. I don't wear all black. I'm sorry, I don't have very cool silver hair, or wear beanies inside the office, or quote poetry, or any of those other very cool things. I do, however, like to wear a little bit of sequin. I know quite a lot about branding, know quite a lot about reinvention, and I love talking about authentic intelligence. And I want to give you a bit of a whistle-stop tour of what I think is really critical in the current age that we're in. I am a new founder. This is a new life for me. This is my new album, as I like to call my reinventions. And I wrapped up a 30-year corporate career, the last 10 of those at Google, leading brand and reputation. And the last bit of time I was at Google, I spent a lot of time working on AI. Not as an engineer, sadly, but as a person who was looking at the impact of AI from policy and regulation in our everyday absorption and how we would use it, how would we adapt to it. And it led me off to go and start a completely new career in a reinvention called the Glittersphere. I think if you're going to start a business when you're in your 50s, you may as well call it something you really like wearing, hence sequins and being on a dance floor. And you're going to hear a lot of music throughout this talk. So why do we need to kind of care? Why do we need to worry about this? And why did I kind of set up the Glittersphere? Well, this isn't about tech. This isn't about, I'm not going to bore you all with loads of kind of AI doom facts. Don't worry, I think there's enough of that out there. But it is about the reality of where we are as creatives, as people who are the architects of what happens next. Probably the most exciting time in the world to be. Because it's not the robots that are going to replace us. This is a bit about the Glittersphere. Sorry, I just wanted to kind of be cool about this. Just so people go, what the hell is a Glittersphere? Is it like a dance club? Is it just a movement? Well, it's everything from being a movement. As I talk about it, the glitterati, a global glitter drench. You don't have to. If people don't like sequins, by the way, you're not included. I just like the reference of sparkle. It is this idea of how we take tools, stories, and swagger. And I love that term, swagger. Much better than the word hustle, I think, in terms of how we take things forward into the next chapter. And of course, it is a community, I hope, that will be the biggest collection of female podcasters and storytellers. But I'm inclusive. It's not just for women. Because actually, AI doesn't determine a lot of the things that we think about the way that we usually do. This isn't about the robots replacing us, although there is probably an element of that. It's about the fact that it's the loud, mid-talented LinkedIn bro who just hit post while you were still procrastinating over the headline of something you might say or share with the world. Now, everyone is obsessed with AI. Are we all obsessed with AI in here? Well, we should be. Come on, we all should be. In one way, form or another, we should be obsessed with it. It's critical that we embrace technology. I mean, I have had a career that spanned from analog to AI, so I can say that every big technological shift requires us to move with it, to embrace it and to learn, but to not fear it by understanding what stays constant. So while everyone's losing their shit about artificial intelligence, I think the real flex is authentic intelligence. The bit that can't be downloaded or summarized or spat out in a few seconds by ChatGPT, or one of those weird kind of images and things that we're seeing where we're quite thinking it's not quite right, and actually worse, everything now looks the same. That's the worst bit. So, music for drama and to enjoy it. They're coming. I thought this was a more pleasant way to talk about the robots were coming than something more terrifying. Dimitri from Paris, it's a remix of... Actually, who knows what that's a remix of? Yes! Well done, you've passed already. You didn't need AI for that. So, what's really going on? What's really happening out there? Well, your CV might as well just be a museum exhibit. As creatives, it's funny, as I was seeing on one of the other stages, the art of putting a portfolio together. Even that is becoming dated. I've seen some incredible ways that people are showcasing talent, showing their creatives. But how do we do this? How do we navigate it in a world that a lot of these things are now becoming relics? Your job title, well, I mean, does anyone know what anyone does anymore? I mean, I made up mine. I've called it, I'm the Chief Sparkle Officer. What the hell does that mean? But I think in the world of crazy titles, make up your own. But the problem is, in a world of layoffs and more challenging times, and we're seeing this more and more, if you're not a brand, you're just a replaceable bio with a job title. Now, look, most people at that stage absolutely cringe and will try and find the exit and think, oh my God, we're going to sit here and talk about personal brand. Well, don't leave, not yet, because this is really important. Because if we don't think about what we individually do and what we're contributing, and I don't mean just for ourselves, but I mean for others, and how we make sure our work is seen and shaped what happens next, it's just going to be more boring, beige, bland shit. And I think we've all had enough of that. Now, McKinsey says, because they always do, that 30% of work will be automated by 2030. I think that's a pretty low estimate, if I'm honest, from what I've seen and the reports I've seen, and you may be seeing this more. But there's not a day that doesn't go by when we see more layoffs, more replacement, more fear-mongering around AI agents. I actually don't think it's about the roles that will be automated. That's natural. That's going to happen. I actually say, I've got my own prediction. I reckon 100% of forgettable people are already in danger. Don't worry about the 30% that are being automated. If you're already forgettable, if your work is hidden, if you're standing in the shadows, if you're not prepared to put your head above the parapet and find a creative and brilliant way to tell your story because I'm so good, surely someone should just come find me and tell me that it's great, you're already done. This is about not being forgettable. And this isn't about, getting out and showing off. We've all been told not to do that. The reality is actually you should show off. But it's about how you do it. And how do others do it? Does anybody know who Ben Terrett is? Hopefully some of you have heard of him. Just check him out, Google him. He kind of created his voice, and he said, you actually know his voice before he walks into the room. When you hear it, you'll recognize it. Amy Keane, she didn't wait for permission to write a book or to get a microphone. She just grabbed it and took her own, tells her own stories. Or Austin Kleon, one of my favorites. He made a global career out of showing his work badly, but authentically. So meanwhile, the perfectionists are stuck currently in draft mode. And I won't ask people to put their hand up and say who's a perfectionist. I think we're in a safe space here to know most of us are. And we're hoping that someone's going to magically discover us. I spent most of my career believing, and like most people did, that actually if you're good enough, you progress. If your work's good enough, it'll get discovered. It stops being, the creative department will say, it stops being art when it gets in the world. I used to love that. But it was like, okay, so how does it get in the world, though? Is it just about who shouts loudest, who plays politics? Surely not. And the fear that we have, and I know I don't need to tell you guys the fear, we know Canva didn't replace design, TV didn't kill books, AI's not going to kill creatives, but it will kill those who think being brilliant is just enough. So let's have a look at the real threats that we should be thinking about. Because these are the ones that are living rent-free in our head that we don't really want to own up to or admit. These are the 5 villains that are killing your personal brand today. Recognize these? Perfection paralysis. I've always heard a bit of that. Comparisonitis, that is absolutely rife at the moment. Even when you think you're not comparing yourself to someone and you're casually just going about your way, scrolling through something, even in LinkedIn, Instagram, you can't even get in a news feed these days without a little bit of comparisonitis creeping up on you. The fear of being cringe. If anyone has teenage children, their entire life is cringe, according to your children. For the rest of us, we can just be in fear of it. I went to a great presentation last week where it was a fabulous thinker, Gen Z thinker, who stood on stage and said, please never use terms like skibbity and stuff like that, because it's, who's done that? Don't do it ever, never. We are cringe. But the fear of cringe keeps us stuck. That corporate filter, what am I allowed to say? What am I not allowed to say? Will I get cancelled if I say that? Even more so now. And then the inner critic, the loudest of all those voices. Lots of people say that they should name these different fears and voices in their head. I think I might call mine Nils. No, I'm kidding. I love him, really. But give them names, and then, in the most loving way possible, punch them in the throat. Get rid of them. They're just annoying. They're profit killers. They're the determinant of you never being able to get your stuff out there. And what happens if we don't? You've got somebody who spent 30 minutes on Canva telling you they know more about design and art and advertising than anyone else. That's what happens. And then we moan about it and say, well, they know. So just so that we're really clear, in case anyone's not clear on this, personal brand isn't a fucking Canva headshot. Nor is it a LinkedIn profile. Nor is it the staff that you've done 10 minutes of some work and you go out and claim to be the expert. Or more importantly, you're going to sell everyone a 6-week course because it's an accelerator to doing something that people have spent years doing. It's none of that. And we know that. We all kind of smile and look at it. But my God, these people are taking over the world. So we know your personal brand isn't some pastel carousel with a fake smile and a job title that sounds like it's made up. Nothing wrong with made-up job titles, just saying. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. We've all heard that. But have we really thought about what that is? What does it mean to what people say about you when you're not in the room? And more importantly, actually, how do you make sure what they're saying about you matters? Not get a phone from your mum in the middle of it. It's the email intro. Who likes an email intro when you go, hi, can I just introduce this person? It's really boring and bland. Like, really? Is that what they think of me? The speaker bio, the whispered recommendation in a WhatsApp group. All those things just make you slightly want to die. Some people have a brilliant personal brand, whether you agree with their brand or not. Vicky Ross is one of my favourite and I think one of the most brilliant and epic copywriters of our time. She does these brilliant things called copy safaris, and if you ever get a chance to go on one, you should. And you go walking around London and spot brilliant copy. But she's unapologetic about her thoughts on AI, her thoughts on copy, what's good and what's not, and calling it out. Nils is in the room next door entertaining everyone about lots of doomsday stuff and black and white, and he's brilliant. We know where he stands on things and what he thinks. We don't question what these people's personal brands are. I think I'd like you to take a moment and go, what are people saying about you? So this is where we get, I won't get really woo-woo with you, but I am going to ask you to do a little bit of work because it's 45 minutes, so we've got to do a little bit of work this. So I'm going to ask you to pull out your phone, and I'm going to ask you to do this challenge. It's only like less than a minute, and I'll play you some music so you can be distracted while you're thinking. Don't have to share this with anyone. I want this to do for you, but you've got to be really, really fucking honest with yourself. This is no filters, none of those 5 things we just saw. What do you want to be known for? This is your lighthouse in the fog. This is the short, punchy, non-negotiable thing. I want to be known for. Got ready for the night. She said for the light. She sees the vision going. Couple line after line. See how she looks for trouble. See how she dances. She sips the Coca-Cola. She can't tell the difference. That's what you're coming for. They don't want to let you in. You try to get back to the floor. You're asking what's happening. It's getting late now, hey now. Enough of the arguments. She sips the Coca-Cola. She can't tell the difference yet. Anyone know who that is? I mean, it's in the title. Camel Fat, Cola, thank you. But no one thought they'd have to challenge their music knowledge today. Right, so, how honest were you? Because, you know, one of the biggest problems is we just all want to be liked. It's human nature. We want to be liked. You know, you want to be liked, get a cat, personally a dog. If you want to be remembered, you know, say something that makes someone tilt. Because often when we say that thing about what do I want to be, what do I want to be known for, like what's the thing I want to be known for, we often go a little bit too safe. And the reality is, if you're not annoying someone, you're not really branding, you're just blending. Now, Now, this isn't about being, playing to the current tropes of being in the polarised society we are, so I'm just going to say this to piss everybody off because then I'll look really clever and look like contrarian. No. I mean, it's about getting to that root of, like, what is the thing that you really, really give a shit about? And lots of people kind of do the obvious and easy stuff. But without wanting to get too uncomfortable, you do have to go a bit deeper. It took me a long time to really figure out and get past the layers. I give a shit, I always have done, about fairness, probably because I didn't always experience it firsthand. I give a shit about the equality of opportunity for everyone. The fact that all stories look the same and they killed dreams. Hopefully didn't get too uncomfortable. She's left already. Don't go. She didn't like the music choice, I'm sure of it. But you have to go deeper on it. So I'm going to do another little exercise. You get a teeny bit longer on this one because actually you've got to go even harder. So if whatever you wrote, have a look at it, and now you're going to go, because you're going to give it a bit more definition now. Now, before we do that, I'm going to give you an idea. Keep you with my sparkle theme. This idea of how do you shape that? Because your personal brand is going to be the thing that's unique. It sounds really obvious. Like I said, there's a gazillion people who will tell you a 6-week course or a 3-hour accelerate on this. But this is the real shit. This is the work you have to do on your own. Dig deep, go and do it. And we won't get too woo-woo, but I do want you to think about this. What's the thing you stand for? Not the thing you just pick up that's popular and interesting or contrarian. How are you going to publish that proof? What's your proof of it? What's your proof of the thing you give a shit about? What's the stuff you're going to share from others? How are you going to amplify your voice? What's your channel for telling that story? How often are you going to keep reinventing? Because we're going to reinvent ourselves a lot. I like to talk about my career and my life as a series of albums because I like music. I've got some great hits. I've got some compilations. I've got some really, really shit ones. I've got, like a really bad Christmas #1 that should never have existed. And now I'm in the next stage and I think about what my next album might be. And it could be Cowboy Carter Wildly Different, or it could be epically Kendrick Lamar or something like that. But how often are you reinventing and really challenging what you think and actually being honest to go, no, I don't think that, I don't care about that, this is I care about more. And really thinking about your impact, small or large, whatever it is, and how you leave that legacy. And most importantly, how do you elevate others? So, challenge 2. You're going to relook at what you wrote for, you're going to look at it again, you get a little bit of music, and you're going to go, right, it's a bit more chilled, this one. Because I think you needed to be oozed into this. I'm on a mission to help who? Get specific about that who is. What are you going to do? What are you going to do for them? Why do you want to help them? Why do you want to help yourself? What is it? And how are you going to do it? How are you going to blow the fucking doors off this mission? How are you going to do it differently? Because let's face it, as creatives, we want to do everything differently. We don't want to do anything like anyone else does. We want to be the person picking up the award tomorrow night because we did it differently. But how much of it was you in the doing it differently? I want you to feel so proud about what you write that you'd be proud to share it. Boom, own it, print it, tattoo it. Who's going to get a tattoo of what they wrote? No, don't do that. Oh, that was soothing. Did we enjoy that? Those are 2, what you can watch it on YouTube. They were 2 wonderful Swedish ladies who auditioned on The Voice, singing that Daniel Caesar song. Beautiful. Anyway, so, how was that? There's some people thinking, shit, I wish I'd gone into the Nils talk. There's others like this, I've unlocked something inside me, she might be onto something, or others just, I'm enjoying the tunes, it's quite good. I hope it's unlocking something, because shit gets real now. Now we want to know, how do you turn this visibility into velocity? Because, newsflash, You are the algorithm. Didn't know that, did you? Maybe you do. But you are the algorithm. What do I mean by that? Are you expecting to be the algorithm? Well, let me give you a sense of that. We want better AI. We want an AI that can live alongside us. Well, when I said to you that you're the architects of what happens next, I mean that literally. You are the architects of what happens next. One of the most important things when we debate and discuss AI, which is simply technology, which is about repeatable behaviors and repeatable processes and ideas. Well, those processes and ideas are ours. It's only regurgitating what we've given it. Simply AI is nothing more than the power and technology to be able to predict what might happen next by looking at significant amounts of patterns and data. And what's the biggest problem we've got at the moment? We've got a wonky world where there's been a period of time that continues where we don't have full representation of all different types of stories. We've then got this other period of time when we all lost our shit over data and everything now looks beige. And then we go, hold on a minute, we're really pissed off at this AI stuff because it's not producing anything really clever. And you can prompt and prompt and prompt, and you get really fucking clever with your prompts, and you get really pleased with yourself. And I do things like I put stuff into the thing to tell me what prompt I need to make, but really it's just a little clever version of the thing I gave it, and it's not creative, and it's not original, but it's there. And we can do that thing where we're going, I'm not giving it my work. How dare it learn from me? I said, well, if it's not going to learn from you, who's it going to learn from? I'd much rather it learnt from you than it learnt from somebody else. And that's why we become the algorithm. That's why we become the people who feed and nurture what AI is alongside us, not in replace of us. And at the moment, I don't think there is enough intentionality. I don't think we are obsessed enough with AI in the way that we should be. And when I talk about the other AI, yes, I'm talking about authentic intelligence, but I'm talking about through the creation of what we make and what we do and what we put out there. The fact that whether it's film, YouTube, which doesn't even have a commissioning editor, and therefore shouldn't have a bias in the content it reflects back, and I know that firsthand from working there, podcasts, books, we do have a massive male skew, and also to a certain type of man, not all men, to certain types of socioeconomic groups, to certain types of ideologies. And the other stuff, I had a look at the other stuff, and I was there and in other places in podcasting and other bits that I've been exploring and interested in, and go, hold on, but this shit's really good. This stuff's really interesting. I love these stories. This is stuff that's bringing nuance. It's bringing diversity in the diversity, not keeping it in simple channels. Why is that stuff not big and talked about and shared? Why do we still have a situation where we talk about other and awkward and weird as though that's the anomaly? Whereas, hold on a minute, isn't the anomaly the ones who are just all the same? Why haven't we flipped that script yet? And that's why we've got to get out of our little spaces and go, fuck it, I'm going to tell everyone what I'm doing. I'm going to share this story. I'm going to find a way to share mine, because if I share mine, someone else does, because you make that person feel a little bit more like, oh, okay, maybe I don't feel so awkward telling what I feel, think, do, interested, care about. Because at the moment, what we have an AI that's accelerating in its growth, being trained on quite a limited set of thoughts and opinions. I say limited set because that's over many years, but I hope you'd agree that there's not enough richness in that. So what does that do when you extrapolate it forward? We can stay being different and awkward and here and proud of what we do in our little space and stand out, or you start to go, how do we create this at scale? And there's always going to be the challenge, go, well, if you create it at scale, don't you just get back to conformity? My argument is that when you create it at scale, in the same way with humanity, you create a greater volume of difference, of greater cohesion, actually, rather than division, simply by finding the fucking weird and brilliant and nuanced and joyful things in life that we seem to want to just smooth over because it makes someone else feel better. Every post, every reel, every bold truth that you dare to share, feed the machine. Don't feed it fluff. Don't feed it shit. Don't tell it what's crap. Actually train it to know what's rubbish. Be the data that you want to see in the world. Because you are the algorithm now. It usually terrifies people a little bit. So, I come back to this when you think about that thing where you wrote something that you'd like to be known for. Then you got a bit deep while we listened to Daniel Caesar's song. And we're like, okay, what does it really mean? Who do I really want to help? What's the kind of thing I want to do differently? And then when you think about, hold on a minute, what I'm going to do and create and talk about and champion and stand on a box and shout about, if I see that through a new lens of going, well, I'm now the algorithm and what I create is the content and that's going to feed the machines. And if I went through this lens of Sparkle, again, would I do it differently? Would I maybe just push the edges a little bit more and truly say, fuck it? Because the only thing that really stops us of really saying fuck it is fear, right? Shit, got to pay a mortgage. I can't get cancelled, I want to get arrested, I want to upset anyone, I need to do this. Well, don't upset anyone. If you can help it, you might have to upset some people, and that's okay. But do it with respect and with a requirement and a knowledge of how we do it. Because when we do this idea of pushing this here and elevating others, we don't need to worry about the algorithm so much. It just becomes another piece of technology that we don't need to fear. So, last challenge, don't worry if everyone's like, fuck, this is the end. And this isn't as long because I think you're nearly getting it. So now, you've thought about those things, you've thought about what you're going to put out there. What's the thing? This is about defining who you are. So that every single one of these every one of you as an individual goes out and shares what you do socially, in the world, in a person, in the street, wherever it is. How are you going to do that to start thinking a little bit more responsibly about the other AI that you have to form the AI that we're all using? Right. Post. Doesn't have to be post. Doesn't have to be social media. I don't care where you do it. One bold opinion this week. I did a look. This wasn't. It wasn't doing it for any attention. But I don't know how many of you saw. Stephen Bartlett did a AI emergency summit show. Put your hand up if anyone saw it. It was a podcast show. Diary of a CEO did AI. Did nobody watch the AI emergency summit? According to him, it was like the greatest thing that ever been watched that week. Nobody? Or are you just being shy? You don't want to put your hand up. Right, okay, well, if you didn't, well done you if you're not seeing it. But he hosted one of his Diary of the CEOs, which was termed the AI Emergency Summit. And this was the concern about AI agents coming for our jobs. And it is actually a really interesting debate. It's worth listening to. My frustration and annoyance was the people he'd selected to sit around that table to debate it, who were either so-called experts, but all also looked the same. Same backgrounds, same perspectives in some degree. They had difference of opinions. You had somebody who was, a man of God, who was kind of very doomsday. You had someone who ran an AI agents company. Funnily enough, he was quite pro-AI agents. And you had Daniel Priestley, who's a lovely man, but seems to be everything as an expert from economics to AI. And I wrote a post just frustrating to go, hold on a minute, there's loads of other women in AI, and you sat in your show and you said for a moment 80% of women will lose their jobs due to the arrival of AI agents, with no sense of responsibility of the fear that would have created in others. No sense of what's going to happen? How do we retrain? What do we do? So I don't like that stuff. That's putting it mildly. I fucking hate it. And I didn't write angrily, I just wrote with reflection there. Within a day, I had probably about 200 women in AI names, a movement pushed and started, and a correction to the narrative. And it's sometimes those little moments you don't realise, sharing that one messy but true story that actually makes a difference. And I spend a lot of my time when people are going, I don't want to put anything out there, I don't want to feel uncomfortable, like what I say, fucking everyone said it, or I don't want to be that wanker that's like, I'm so honoured and I'm so pleased on LinkedIn, because you just want to shoot them. what you want to do, the way I get people to practice this, and there's actually genuinely a little bit of neuroscience involved, this isn't just me making it up, is when you spend time commenting and hyping other people, you actually train a part of your brain that becomes more observant to what things are good and strike something within you. So I spend a lot of my time not always agreeing, sometimes I'm disagreeing respectfully though, not picking a fight with anyone, but I spend a lot of time telling people what I think is really good about something. And I don't mean just like smiley emoji and move on. I mean like, I really fucking love that because of this. Or that piece of work was amazing. Or you look incredible in that skirt, great choice. You know, just saying something lifts people, shows an appreciation. And it's not just about going out and being nice, but it shows that you start to become alive again as to what's good, what's not, why is it there, what's going on with it. It's the best way. You want to start building your own story and start talking about things that might be of interest to you, and you need to get warmed up, start spending every day, even if it's just 2 people a day, one in the office, one online, whatever it might be, somebody on the train. But we don't do enough of it. It sounds so obvious when I say it to people. I always go, actually, do I do enough of that? Do I show enough appreciation where it needs it? So hype one person. Now, I say all of this with the people go, well, yeah, it's easy for you to say, I've done that. I'm very honest about that. I've had to go through my own transformation of finding my voice, what I want to talk about, be more confident, to dress as I want to dress and show embarrassing pictures of me from when I was younger. And yeah, I did start my career at Teletext. That's how old. But it does take transformation to find your comfortable skin, to find what it is you're cool about. And creative people, if I can say with great generalisation at a D&AD festival, are just really fucking cool. So we find it harder to reinvent and transition, but you need to. Because if we don't, like, where do we go? And I wish I had time to let you get to it. It actually does get better. I don't look like that now. But it's quite a long video, and we're going to have to wait several decades before I get to the bit where I actually look quite good. But at least you can be convinced that there was, as my children like to say, it's the Facebook mum years. But apparently that's a slur. So, visibility isn't vanity. It is power. I can't say that enough. Visibility isn't vanity. It's power. Being unforgettable is dangerous. We don't know what the next job's, the landscape, the market, the briefs, the companies. We've got no idea. Don't believe anyone who tells you they know, because they simply don't. And I have sat in some pretty incredible meetings with some very clever people across government and tech companies and organisations. Nobody knows. That's not to fear you. That's to go, right, what do you go back to? Go back to the stuff that actually is how do you shape things. So if I leave you with anything, hopefully some new ideas for some music to go and look at and listen to, maybe a passion to wear some sequins. I get a lot of guys asking me about sequins. I'm happy to hit you up with some clothing choices, should you wish to go that way. But visibility isn't vanity, and I desperately need you to keep sharing and sticking your head above the parapet and thinking about how what you're crafting is your personal brand and your story, and unlocking that other AI. Because if you don't, we don't train what's happening out there. And I'm not saying this because I want to train them, but I'm just being realistic as to what's going on around us. So let's shape and be more responsible about what we want to see and do. So, you've probably scribbled some notes if you did play along today, and I hope you'll go back and look at that. Because it is be loud, be searchable, be sparkly. I want you to kind of be that person who doesn't just walk into the room, but you fucking own the playlist. You don't just shine, but you go, fuck it, what the hell, why not do it? Because it's ours to claim, loudly and unapologetically. You don't need a bigger network. You don't need a bolder voice. You just need your voice. You need to shape it and do it, and don't fall into the beige and the bland. And I know anyone here won't, but maybe we need to say it louder for others. So be so damn unmistakably you, because do you know what? AI can't fucking fake that. That's the best bit about it. You are the other AI. You are authentic intelligence. And do you know what? It's time to fucking sparkle. Thank you very much.